Alrighty-roo, kangaroo.
Cool. I got up and fully adjusted my pants so that denim crashing together doesn't affect the sound quality.
How much denim you got on?
Oh, I got denim for days. Hit my nose clamps real quick. Welcome to the... No, I wasn't ready for it. Welcome... no, so wasn't. I didn't have any air in my lungs. Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
Today we're going to analyze old and new horror by taking a look at two films, The Rear Window and Parasite. But first, Steven, how was your week?
My week's been okay. Very excited about both of these movies. It was a treat to rewatch both of them. Week's going alright. Just finished an exam yesterday. I did pretty well. I got one question wrong.
Hell yeah.
So I did alright. Finally finished some fucking art I was stuck on forever. So pretty good, except for the kitty situation. That was a bummer, but...
Yeah.
I was going to talk to you about that because maybe we still can figure out taking a trip to Detroit to visit you sometime soon.
I mean, yeah, anytime. Within, the reasons of the pandemic situations and whatnot. But, yeah.
As soon as we finish recording, I'm driving to Detroit.
Yeah, man. Head on up here. I'll have the fucking pull-out bed ready for you.
Got to find out what's going on with all that denim.
All this denim... Y'all don't even know all this denim.
Oh, shit. I was going to mention, it will have already been out by now, but our last podcast, the skeleton guitar, I heard it on another podcast. It may have been a prank by a professional YouTuber that lives in Portland that makes exotic hats. He has the world record for the tallest hat ever made, and they believe it may have been a fake, but they don't know yet for sure. So,
the skeleton guitar may have been a fake, not the tallest hat.
Correct. The tallest hat is real.
That's very real.
But I don't know what the scoop is on that. But the guitar was fucking dope, so fuck it.
Yeah, if nothing else, it looked cool. So fucking whatever.
That's half of art, right?
Yeah.
How was your week, man?
It's been pretty good. A lot of I don't know, a lot of good stuff going on at work right now. That's always fun. I got my hair cut, so I'm feeling like a new man, and everything's great. That brings up, I didn't know I actually wanted to include it as an honorable mention because it wasn't really, it has nothing to do with anything new or anything, interesting or fun. But I did want to bring up that I've been binge watching Dragon Ball over again. I've watched it before, of course. I'm a big, stupid nerd like that. But a friend of mine from back in Toronto got me interested in rewatching again. Shout out to Brittany and the George Brown's family.
Yeah.
But that's been my whole weekend, and most of my week has been going to sleep and then waking up and then watching more Dragon Ball.
Dude, who's your favorite character?
I mean, Goku, obviously, but
you got Goku vibes.
I mean, Goku's my boy. Young Goku's my boy. I don't know, I fuck with Roshi though.
Which one's that?
Master Roshi.
Yeah. Oh, is he the old dude?
Yeah, is the turtle hermit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an old perv. But he's funny as fuck.
I tried to get back into it, and it was one of those things like I don't think I was like allowed to watch it as a kid.
What?
So
okay, yeah, that makes sense with your family.
So it was like magical, but I didn't have the chance to get into it. And then as an adult, I couldn't get back into it because I feel like I missed my chance.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I think it's better as an adult.
Okay.
Because there's so many like jokes that go over your head when you're a kid, especially the original Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z. There's a lot of kind of adult references to stuff. Super good. And it's
such cool art.
I think it's on Hulu. I'm watching on Funimation, but
Bet. Any other honorable mentions?
I don't have any.
Okay.
Tell me about yours.
I sent you the first one. It is 2 photos in the chat. This guy, his art name and Instagram handle is empty.pools. He is a makeup / jewelry artist of sorts, but those first 2 pictures I sent you, I'm not huge on all of his other stuff, but those 2 photos are so fucking dope.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking wild.
It's like he made his face with makeup to look like one's a heaven scene and one's a hell scene, but his face becomes the art gallery with all the paintings like painted on his face and makeup and framed and all these weird piercings, and it's just a real strong aesthetic look, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Now, is this actually the artist themselves?
I believe I'm not 100% sure on that, but
I was gonna say it's one thing to do this, but if they're doing it on themselves, that's even fucking wilder.
Well, I will send you his Instagram page real quick, and he has like hundreds of different versions of similar things all on his face. So he definitely, if he's not physically doing it all to himself, he's definitely like the lead artistic director of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really wild.
It's all like experimental art, makeup, piercing, painting, photography stuff. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Some of it, I mean, definitely isn't my thing, but certain pieces are just gorgeous. He's definitely got a great like bone structure and face to make art pieces out of. It's very wild.
Yeah, really, really interesting use of space that I wouldn't ever have had thought of myself. So, shouts out to that. Composition's on point.
Very interesting. I'll move into the second one. The second one's just I'm just gonna reference. I'm sure you've seen this guy. If you want to click that link, his name is Billis. I never know. There are articles online about how to pronounce his name. He's a extremely famous, successful artist, render artist.
Yeah.
He actually just did the newest poster for Diablo. Diablo's re-release at BlizzCon. He did John Wick posters, Gears of War art. Like, he's one of the biggest artists on Instagram. He's known for his golden skull work. I just was going to mention him because I think we can look at his art in depth another time, but I just wanted to mention him because he did a competition where he puts out free digital skull assets, and then he runs competitions with them, so they're free to download the skull, and then you use it in your art. And used it in one of my art pieces last week, and he commented on it and said it was mad. And
fuck yeah,
that was just really cool of him. And that there were literally hundreds of pieces of art made through his competition, and I just think that's really cool, giving back kind of shit.
Yeah, wow, it's really impressive work, and I was disappointed a little bit when I realized that these were renders and not actually sculptures, because they look so incredibly realistic, like it's so just convincing. A thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still incredible and impressive. I was happy knowing that there's a physical object like some of these out in the world. But knowing that there's the image is just as good, and I'm happy with that. Yeah, I mean,
his stuff is just, you see it and it's obviously gorgeous. The only thing that kind of gets me on his work is that I think like half of it's kind of like a Tech 9 album, where half of it might be amazing and the other half is just kind of like throwaways to me. And it's like, if you only would have put out the first good half, it would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
but he produces so much work. But that's what you do to be successful. It doesn't take away from all the amazing stuff he does. But
yeah,
just a quick mention on him.
I do want to say real quick also on him is I find a lot of gold used to be gaudy and kind of shitty to look at, but when it's embraced like he does with a lot of these, I think it's really impressive. The Necro Maria is really sick. It kind of uses that gold and glorious kind of vibe to make it work, but also has a really brutal appearance to it.
Yeah, we'll definitely dive into him one of these days. But part of the reason I mentioned him is he has been selling. I really want to spend an episode on it, but he's been doing a lot of the crypto art where you digitally sell an art piece in the form of what essentially is a Bitcoin. And the idea is that a digital piece of art then in a way becomes physical, and it becomes like the unique piece. There's only one of it, and they're selling on these digital auctions for absurd amounts of money. And the cool part is unlike physical art, like being sold at galleries, you can make sure like a percentage of the coin profits are yours forever. So no matter how many times the digital piece is sold, you always get a cut of each sale, so these artists are making, dude, it is crazy. So a couple episodes ago, we talked about Beeble art.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, this is so cool of him. He put out 88, it's something like 88, 90 pieces of art on crypto art, and he sold them all for $1 each.
Damn.
And his art is very expensive.
Yeah.
In physical and digital form, right? So he put out all these pieces for $1. And the idea was that then fans could get them for basically free and upsell them. So he was giving back to the community and said,
shit.
You can sell this for whatever you can get for it digitally and make as much money. I'll get a cut of it, but it's like 10%, and you guys can make money off my art. Dude, between the 90 or so pieces, guess how much money he made this week? Or these pieces were sold for?
Upwards of $100,000.
As of this afternoon, it was up to $800,000.
Jesus.
For 80 pieces of digital art. So $800,000 went to these fans. Or it would have been like, 690 and he got 100,
That's fucking bonkers. That's
Dude,
so awesome though.
This digital crypto market is changing things. It's very interesting. So one of these days we'll dive into that more. Last honorable mention. So this is actually a friend of mine that I've met online. His personal art handle. Actually, I sent you one of his pieces in the chat. We'll start with that. This dude's name is Dylan, and his art handle on Instagram is Meta Melancholia, which is a beautiful name.
Yeah.
He does analog, digital, collage, and photography. It's very old school, often black and white collage. Analog collage work. The piece I sent you though is like, it's almost like retro horror color.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. The kind of unsaturated colors through a lot of it and then the in the places where it's very saturated, to make it stick out. Really interesting.
He often focuses on eyeballs and like weird, trippy, occult horror shit. He's definitely got strong horror vibes. But this dude does some really cool stuff. So definitely check out his personal art. I'm a big fan of his. But what I think is what makes him that much fucking cooler. So there's another link in the pod notes that goes to his project. And this project is so he lives in Estonia, And this is a digital art sign he created called Semi-Oculus.
Nice.
And there's a website. The website, so this sign does get printed, and you can get print issues from him directly, I believe. But the website for the sign is semioculus.tumblr.com. So I'll run through a Tumblr. semioculus.tumblr.com. And it's free digital issues of this sign. And it's there's some big name artists in it, but it's mostly like just random artists online. And it's like a beautiful collection. Each episode is like crafted, sometimes to a theme. There's graphic design involved. They're beautiful. They're stunning digital signs, and they're all free. I've been in a couple episodes or issues, and I just think it's so cool what he's doing. Signs are often like just not well done, or like, I don't know. Like I've always wanted to be more involved in something like that, but it rarely works out where it's a really cool collection. And I just think he's doing something very, very fucking awesome.
Yeah, the images on the Tumblr here, they're fucking awesome. They're really good looking.
Yeah,
interesting design choices that I always love. It's like I love seeing good graphic design kind of stuff. Number one, because I don't feel like I'm good at it in any sense. I want to be, but I love composition. Just a good composition gets me every time, regardless of the subject matter.
Did you open this link by any chance? This Google Drive
I
one?
did, yeah.
This is their newest episode, or issue 11, I think. It just came out a couple days ago, and if you guys check it out on their Tumblr, like, it has the cover, which is beautiful, but then you get to the table of contents, and it's like so well, like graphically designed. It looks so cool. It fits the images just perfectly, and it's just filled with a bunch of really cool art. It's not all digital work, a lot of collage, horror art, all kinds of cool, random, dark shit. It's really good.
Yeah, it definitely fits in really well into its, it's all separate but equal, kind of pieces.
Yeah. It was fun to see what my stuff got paired with in previous ones.
Nice.
And, to see your work in a different format like that was really fun. That's it. I think that does it for honorable mentions. Definitely. So check out Meta Melancholia and his art project, Semi-Oculus.
Hell yeah. So we watched Rear Window.
Oh, yes.
And Parasite. Now, both of us had seen these movies before.
Yes. Multiple times.
Yeah. And it was Steven's idea to watch these two movies, and I was so fucking pumped. I'd watched Rear Window the first time, and I'm almost certain I was drunk, and it was a Turner Classic Movie Marathon of Hitchcock movies at my significant other's house. And Hitchcock. I'm not even sure if I watched it from the beginning. Oh, we definitely did, because we saw the helicopter scene, and I remember thinking that was fucking weird.
Dude. Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Right. God, dude, for years, until writing this episode, I really did think it was the rear view window.
Yeah.
That threw me off so hard.
I looked it up in Amazon, or on wherever I streamed it at, looking up rear view window, and it didn't come up, and I couldn't figure out why.
That's funny, man. So right off the bat, this movie, Rear Window, directed by Hitchcock or Spaniel.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he really is like the OG master of horror, or Edgar Allan Poe of film.
Yeah.
It's just the classics.
I think it's it's fair to say that what he did, it's kind of hard to call it horror now.
Right.
But for the time, absolutely. Like the idea of this suspenseful ass, murder and plot twists and stuff in film, wasn't really much of a thing. At the time, what was horror was the monster movie shit.
Right. God, those, I can't watch those, man.
Yeah.
They don't do it for me.
It's funny in a way, but like it's hard to sit through.
Right. Now, do you know much about him? Like
I do not.
So I don't know this stuff as well as I'd like to, but I've listened to a couple things on him, and from what I understand, Hitchcock was a real asshole. Just a real piece of work. Apparently, like, as his career like grew and he gained notoriety, he pulled pranks on people, like famous actors, actresses, people in the movie, and the pranks would escalate in scale. Like, he would order people like furniture for their house, like expensive shit, and he'd make sure none of it could fit in the door of their house. Like, he would do like expensive pranks that would go really out of hand, and like one person was afraid of fire, so he pretended to light them on fire. Like he would do like some dangerous, like, weird shit. But and then in the movie Birds, which I have never been able to get through, it just is too monster movie-ish for me. But that actress, what is her name? She's a famous actress.
Ooh.
Do you mind looking her name up for
I
me?
absolutely will.
Dude, you rock. So during that movie, at the end, there's a scene where the birds are tearing her face apart, like eating her flesh and shit. And dude, he threw birds at her face for like 2 days, and she, like, for the rest of her life, felt emotionally and physically scarred by it. One of the birds cut open her eye at one point, and he was delighted by the whole process because apparently during the shooting of the movie, he became obsessed with her and was trying to court her, and she kept denying him. So he would send her gifts and do all kinds of weird shit. And when he got the chance to basically abuse her at the end of this movie, he got really creepy with some birds.
Let's see here. Hedren. Sorry,
Tippi Hedren.
Yeah, Tippi Hedren. Yeah, I had to look up which actress in the movie it was, so I went down a.
Oh, you know Tippi?
So I have a fun search history now of Birds. It was Birds, and then Birds cast, and then Birds movie cast.
So my kind of thoughts are on him. He's one of those people where I do feel like it was easier than some artists to separate him from his work. Maybe some of that's because so much of it is like before our time in a way.
It's hard to say it's excusable because people knew that shit like that was fucked up back then, but doesn't sound far off from the typical behavior of a white man in the 1950s or in the 20th century.
Right. So he kind of sounds like he was a madman, but in his field, he was a creative genius and really changed how we think of film and horror, especially. Yeah. So, do you want to start off with the establishing shot? Yeah. So of Rear Window.
Beginning, it starts out. It shows, it shows up the entire setting of the film. It's all set up in a long, fluid shot, showing the window, the main character's perspective, the setting of this group of apartments, all centering around like a courtyard. It's a beautiful, the coloring on it. I think the first time I watched it, it was in black and white. But this colored watch is a really stark, like the tone of just like the really, you know, the way they did Technicolor was like super saturated, and it sets a strong atmosphere of like this kind of, you know, late afternoon, early evening time. You know, you can kind of see the color in the sun, and
that golden hour shit.
Yeah,
it's bold. So I was just looking up. So Technicolor it's actually a series of color motion picture processes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was wondering. So was the movie? Do you know? Was it originally black and white?
It was black and white.
Interesting. So it was later run through the Technicolor motion picture process.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We had to look it up during the watch because we were noticing that their eyes were like super bright blue, and we're like, there's no fucking way that was.
I noticed that also
colored like that.
Yeah.
Or that was originally like that. It was filmed in black and white, and then.
Dude, what I love is that film grain though. Like you can, like in digital, like in Parasite and, you know, modern movies, even if they replicate with effects the digital film grain, it is never true to the real texture of original film.
I don't know shit about film, so I'm going to agree with you.
I know a little bit, not enough, but I know film has such a richer feel to it. And this film felt like it was Technicolor, but it felt really gritty and bold. I loved how it looked.
Yeah, it's very homey. It's hard to say. I didn't feel like I was watching an old movie. I only felt like that because of the, you know, the outfits that people were wearing and some of the mannerisms of people.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a point at you know, my mom thought she said she thought she saw somebody holding a phone, like a cell phone. And it was funny. Just, you know, the casualness of it.
Right.
That it felt super relatable. It didn't feel like a separate world. Like some older movies have that feeling where it's like, this is a whole different time.
Yeah, and it becomes like more unrelatable in a sense.
Right.
It's like, oh, that was way back then. This felt, regardless of the time period, that the story was valid.
Right.
Yeah. So this setting, they're in this group of apartments. All basically facing a courtyard. It's a hot New York summer day, and it's the world without AC at the time.
Yeah.
So everyone's like sweating like crazy, but they're all active and going about their day. And then we get to the helicopter shot. Right after the establishing shot, there's this quick shot of a helicopter above the apartments that it seems like it's green screened in.
It's clearly green screened in. It's definitely green screened in.
It is the only shot of any of his films, and this film certainly, that it doesn't make sense why it's even there. I don't even get it. It is weird. I laughed right away.
You know what? Did you look up what?
No, please.
Okay, I want to look up because there might be some kind of weird reference to.
I feel like they were just trying to show that the neighborhood was like busy or something. And it's so funny though. Like, it's definitely worth keeping a lookout for because it's so out of place and weird. And it's like the only time in the film that you could tell it was like an obvious bad edit. There's
a lot of stuff in here about like some of the pranks that he pulled on people, made it into the movie. That's kind of fun.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
Or at least there's a scene with the man and the woman on the fire escape, and they're struggling to get back in the house, get out of the rain. It was based on a prank that he played.
Oh, I've heard. I know what that's referenced to. Dude, so while you're looking that up, so the score, we talked a little bit about this earlier too. The music for this is absolutely outstanding and bananas. like it opens up with some crazy old school orchestral music that is like so old timey and beautiful, but it's so funny. But throughout the movie, like the neighborhood, so much of the movie is watching out this window, and the score becomes crafted by the noisescape of the surrounding neighborhood. Like it really helps put you in the apartment. You're seeing shit and you're hearing everything going on, all the neighbors, the sounds of their activities. And in particular, one of the neighbors is a professional piano concertist. So you hear his beautiful piano playing, like creep in and out of these long shots, and it is stunning. I think that was one of the most impressive things for me, was the attention to the audio and how it was crafted to the scenes.
Okay.
You're stuck on the helicopter.
I'm still, man, I'm really tracking here because, man, I can't find a single thing. I found, okay, here. A low-flying helicopter soon approaches to spy on the woman.
What?
Okay. Here we go. When the editor calls on the phone, he sees two females on the roof terrace across the way, crouched down behind the wall to nude sunbathe. They take off their pajamas. A low-flying helicopter soon approaches to spy on the women. I missed that part entirely.
I missed all of that.
Yeah.
That must have been a real quick, weird shot. And God, that sounds like his sense of humor created that shot.
Yeah, it completely did not appear that way. I thought it was just a helicopter, and I was waiting, like, man, I don't remember what happened with this helicopter. And then it was just gone, and then never mentioned again.
Yeah, so the plot revolves around this small handful of characters and cast of neighbors as we observe the main characters watching out this rear window on a hot day. You want to kick it off with Mr. Jeffries, our leading man?
Yeah, Mr. Jeffries. So he's a war correspondent and magazine photographer. He broke his leg while photographing a car race.
Dude, that picture. Did you catch that?
No.
So before we know his leg is broken, they do this like rolling shot setting up the apartment, and there's a photograph of like a NASCAR-ish, like an old-timey NASCAR, like exploding and the tire coming towards the viewer.
No, I missed that because I really like the picture of it. It's a portrait, but it's a negative. He has the negative framed of a woman. It's a woman's portrait.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, that's a good way of introducing immediately that this person's a photographer, because who else is gonna number one have the negative, but then be proud of it
and be a creepy photographer,
right?
Have a negative. But yet, dude, this photo is so funny, and I remember thinking to myself, whoever took that photo is dead. And then it pans over, and Mr. Jeffries is in his, he's got his legs broken, so he's in this chonky plaster cast up to his hip in a wheelchair. I'm like, oh, I get it. I see what you did there.
Here lies the bones of J.B. Jeffries or whatever.
Jeffries!
So he's bored. He's passing the hot afternoon by watching out his window. He particularly likes watching Mrs. Torso, this hot ballet chick from across the street. There's a new couple in the building that's bickering, and a lonely woman that's eating dinner by herself. And
she got sad throughout the movie.
Yeah, that was a pretty dark part.
She about got everybody killed because she was too busy overdosing by herself, and they're peeping on her.
Right.
And then the piano player, I think he was my favorite.
Yeah, he was cool. I liked the, there's a scene where there's a party going on, and it's just progressively more and more and more people. And eventually the apartment's just, he says it's a studio apartment, but it just ends up packed full of fucking people.
And they're all like smoking their old cigarettes with the stems and like passing out drunk. That shot like made me want to party with them. That looks so much fun.
Also, I like to point out, they state that it's a studio apartment, but number one, there's a fireplace in that apartment. Number two, there's a grand fucking piano in that apartment. Where is this man sleeping?
In the piano.
Yeah.
That's where pianists sleep, right?
Yeah, just sitting in the chair, leaned up against the piano.
No, they have to crawl inside the piano and close it.
That's what it's open for.
That's where piano players sleep every night.
That's where the bed go.
Now, there was something funny I'm going to see if you caught here in a minute. But, so they're watching out the window, observing the neighbors, and then our next lead character enters the movie. She's kind of a secondary. This is Mr. Jeffrey's housekeeper, Stella, and she's got a little attitude. She's fun. She's got a little pep.
I like Stella. She was cool.
Yeah, she's watching Jeffrey's peer out the window, and she says, "Oh, aren't we all a race of peeping toms?" Like, she was very aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
And I think he remarked something like, "Get me out of this swamp of boredom, or I'll do something crazy like getting married." It was something.
I didn't catch that one. I mean, I didn't line for line catch all of it, but yeah, he was definitely stir crazy.
Yeah,
he hated it.
I mean, I transcribed the entire movie.
Oh, that sounds like some wild shit that you would do, so I wouldn't doubt it, even though you're probably joking.
It was just pages and pages of scribbles. You want to pick up Lisa?
Yeah, so Lisa Fremont.
Lisa Carroll Fremont.
Lisa Carroll Fremont, you're right. She's a love interest in the movie. She manages to a local magazine. It's like a fashion magazine, right?
Yeah, they did interviews and some stuff, but it wasn't what he is accustomed to.
Yeah. So she tries to convince him to quit doing the extreme journalism and come join her and her business. Definitely cares for him, but they're both trying to manipulate each other to different ends.
Yeah, he was clearly trying to just have sex, and she more wanted to have sex to get him to work for her.
Yeah. So one of her the great lines was woman's hardest job is juggling the wolves.
Yeah, she said it at a really good moment too, and you could tell it kind of showed, like, especially for this period in film, she was a really bold female lead character. I mean, Jeffries is definitely the main, but she was a strong character.
Yeah. I like in your notes here, you put he's rude, and then and it looks like you're going on to say and something else about him, but like no, he's rude, and because he is.
He was very rude. He had James Bond vibes for me.
Yeah, like out of work James Bond.
Oh, that's really funny to me. Yeah, he was rude, and then she was very caring and kind, but she was also cunningly manipulative.
I feel like I can see that, but that wasn't the vibe that I got as much. It was like, you can definitely see that she was trying to convince him to stay and work with her.
Out of love.
Yeah, I felt like it was more out of love.
I think you're probably right. It seemed like it was a real mix, though. Like the morality of both of them is definitely questioned throughout the film. Yeah. But she definitely cared more about him than I think he cared about her.
I liked how the character development changed so much throughout the movie, and it's like over like the course of like three days or something.
It might have been longer, but it was a relatively short amount of time, like a week or two tops. Might have been less than that, but what percentage of the movie do you think was watching out of the window? I was kind of wondering. I want to see if there's a breakdown of that.
I mean, I would guess more than half.
Really?
Yeah.
See, my guess is it's probably like 15%, but it's deceiving. You know what I mean? Because like a lot of the movie is watching out of this window or just in their apartment, but it's all driven by this dialogue it's like subtle, but it's still so intriguing. It feels intense. It's a slow burn, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like it's packed full of action, and you're really just like people watching in a way.
Yeah, it really. Now that you're mentioning that, I'm thinking back in the, I guess the idea of when it actually shows, like it looked like you're looking out the window rather than like showing them in their view out the window. Yeah, it's kind of different.
Right.
But definitely more of the plot happens within the room.
Yeah. Now, did you catch one of the moments when they're looking out of the window? We get a cameo of Hitchcock at the piano player's apartment.
Yeah, I did see that, and I questioned it at first because I was like, "Is that fucking?"
It's like, oh shit!
Yeah, it is.
Dude, that made me really happy. I was like, good for him. That was funny. Now, part of what I found I've been trying to write this book that I still haven't shown you.
Yeah.
That I will.
This so-called book that supposedly exists in some form or another.
So I've been doing a lot of research on writing dialogue lately because it's still pretty new to me. I'm not a good writer. So compared to Parasite specifically, the writing of Rear Window, the dialogue, it felt like it was like magical realism, where everything is like all their dialogue to each other is like prose, like old Shakespeare in a way, where it's like clever, witty, playful. Everything's like overly embellished. It's not like realistic dialogue conversation shit. It's all like
it's almost like it was written before they said it.
Super punched up, right? But it's like if you can do that well enough, it feels natural to watch. But if it's not done well enough, it's like so fucking hard to pull off. And like especially Stella, because she's got all this fucking attitude, but she's like clever about everything, and it didn't feel cheesy. It like reminded you of like an old lady down the street you knew who smoked cigarettes all day. Like it still felt very real, even though it was like the writing was so goofy.
I in my head, I imagine that's probably one of the hardest things about doing like stage performances is getting dialogue, that doesn't feel fucking weird to project your voice in a way, but also, not sound like you're yelling at somebody that's 5 feet from you, and still having the cadence of we're just having a conversation and this is a normal thing to say to you right now. And have the audience understand what you're saying.
Right. Dude, for me, writing dialogue is extremely challenging.
I can only imagine.
I'm really struggling with it, and it really makes me appreciate like films such as these that do it so well. Now, this movie had tons of these long like voyeur shots. Have you by any chance seen that motel documentary called Voyeur?
I have not.
Dude, this is a fun one. I'm just going to take a little side note. So you will like this documentary. It's called Voyeur. I think it's either Netflix or Hulu, but it's they know it's a true story, but there is some debate on to what extent of it is true. But it's about this old creepy pervert who built a motel or like renovated this motel that him and his wife bought, and he outfitted it so he could go up into the attic and walk above each room in the motel, and he had peepholes into every room, and he would like record shit, do all kinds of weird shit, and he operated doing this as a voyeur. Supposedly for him it wasn't about sex, he just became obsessed into looking into people's lives, And he did this for like over 30 years.
Wow.
And he had notes and shit. And he eventually reached out to a reporter and told the story himself. Like, he didn't get in legal trouble. The motel sold at points. And then in his old age, he wanted to tell the story. So that's why there's some debate on to what extent of things are true, but it definitely happened. And the documentary is thrilling. It is bizarre, creepy, scary. It is a really good one.
There's definitely I think it's on Netflix. Is a movie about a guy that does that with like B&Bs, like Airbnbs.
That's
terrible, it's more of a horror, scripted horror movie, but yeah, that's the same idea. He's got hidden cameras all over the fucking place.
Fucking creeps. So that's kind of like, this movie really felt like you were peering into people's worlds. And
yeah,
it really is like the ultimate people watching movie. I mean, dude, have you...
I was going to say, it feels like it's right on the line of, this is weird, and like you said, just people watching. Like, yeah. I love going to like a place. When I lived in Toronto, I'd go to the Yonge and Dundas Square and sit on the corner by the Eaton Center Mall and just draw people as they were like standing watching a show, or like walking by waiting for the bus or whatever, or the not the bus, but the crosswalk or whatever. It's a really, fun way for an introverted person to feel like they're part of society. But it does cross a line especially when you're looking into people's homes. Everyone who's lived in an apartment building or a place that's like across from an apartment building, you looked a little bit, maybe not stared and tried to pick apart what they're doing and shit like that, but
it's human nature.
Yeah.
And
the way they do it builds suspense of like, maybe I shouldn't be viewing into someone's window like this for so long. Maybe they'll look up and also see me looking at them, and then that's going to be awkward.
Right. Now, so they're all watching. So Jeffries, Lisa, and Stella, they're all watching out the window as a series of mysterious events unfold at the neighbors across the streets. And before we get into the unhappy Thornwald's couple, I wanted to ask you, have you seen any, like we know satellites can zoom like right onto your face and like they can see you from outer space, but have you seen some of the super camera resolutions?
No.
Dude, there's this one dude who makes a kit for like, it seems like a regular DSLR camera, but he's got these crazy handcrafted lenses and like this backpack of gear that like powers the camera. Dude, you can zoom in, like it looks like a photo. Like he'll take a photo and it'll look like a photo of the New York City skyline. And then if you're on the computer, you could zoom into every window from that photo. Like you can zoom for like miles.
That's kind of fucked.
Dude,
I mean, it's awesome technology
wild.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like an infinite zoom video, like, but it's just one single photo. Like there is so much like crazy lens shit now. Like snipers are sniping. They're killing people with headshots 2 miles away.
Yeah.
Like 1.5, 2 miles. And then real quick, have you seen the thing? Dude, have you seen the heartbeat signature stuff?
No.
So, like, fingerprints are really fucking hard to beat, right?
Right.
But they can kind of, like, they're 99.99 whatever percent accurate, but you could burn your fingerprints off. There could be a mistake. There's some, like, algorithm involved in checking them. So, one of the new things that is already out, but it's not really used much yet, is heartbeat signatures. If you like using like an echo,
my mouth is open in awe.
Dude, you record the sound of someone's heart and the sound of it echoing through their heart chamber, is a unique signature to that person.
I didn't realize that was a unique thing, I guess.
I wouldn't have thought of it as a way to ID a person.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking wild. I mean, I can imagine that. I mean, not everybody's is the same for sure, but there can't be that many different.
It's an infinite amount because it's the exact structure of your heart. The sound is so unique and different.
That's some really high-tech recording.
So supposedly there are private companies like partnering with prisons and stuff, like high-level terrorists or high-level arrests and shit, where during intakes or at different points they're recording people's heartbeats with this special program or tool. And it currently doesn't work the way they want to, but there is a company that is building a satellite that uses lasers to detect heartbeat signatures anywhere in the world. And it is not functional, does not exist yet, but it is the next level. Like where, you know, you get a fingerprint when somebody gets caught with something, it scans into the system. You know, you can track a cell phone, but you can lose it. You know, you can ditch it. There will be a point where we can track people anywhere around the world, anytime, by the sound of their heartbeat.
That's
wild.
Yeah, that's so fucking buck wild. I never in a million years would have guessed that that's the way that they're going to track people.
It's like we're worried about like CCTV and shit, and it's like, yeah, people are fighting against it, the government's fighting for it, but in the meantime, like, there's all kinds of other fucking shit happening, you know?
People worried about, like, getting the, you know, a chip implanted in them or something, you know, for whatever other reason, and then, like, oh, that's how they're going to track me. It's like, first of all, what the fuck are you doing that they want to know what the fuck you're doing?
It's like, they're already listening to everything on your phone. If they got your heartbeat signature filed away.
Right. It's like, maybe don't do crime, number one. Number two, you know, if you get the chip in your body, don't do crime.
What's wrong with crime?
Right.
But there is
just a little crime as a treat.
But think about it, like, your phone uses your fingerprint. Your pulse is going through your phone.
Oh, yeah.
There's talks of that being able to record your heartbeat signature.
Well, hell, I use the fucking heartbeat monitor on my phone.
It's done. They had already had it.
If you got an Apple Watch, they got it.
Dude, just crazy. I don't know. It's saw how that kind of relates, but I also just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
You want to pick us up at Thornwald's?
Oh, the fucking Thornwald's.
I kind of like typed this as like a breakdown of the rising action.
Yeah, no, it happens in that way also, so that makes sense. So
and real quick, we don't, for both of these movies, we're not going to give away the endings or like the major spoilers, you know?
Yeah. All right, so unhappy couple, you can see them. The missus, she's shown in bed, like bedridden, can't get out. She's
sickly.
Yeah, she's sick. Yeah. So the missus disappears one night. The Mrs. Work. No, hold on.
Mr. and Mrs. Work? Is that not clear?
Got it.
Oh, that's my grammar?
That's funny. The notes fuck me up.
That's really funny.
So the woman disappears one night. The
husband misses work.
The husband misses work. They show him leaving in the rain multiple times at nighttime, like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then coming back.
Yeah.
And then leaving again and then coming back. He has suitcases tied, or has a suitcase tied with thick ropes. He has different tools that they can see from the apartment. He's got hacksaw blades and some other various tools. He's got they show the dog digging up this garden that he's tended to, and he shoos the dog away.
And Jeffries, Lisa Stelt, they have old photographs of the garden, and they can tell that the garden was disturbed and the flowers aren't as tall as they were X weeks ago. So something must have been buried there, and that's where the body, they think she's in the trunk, maybe she's in the garden, dog's digging up the garden, and then like the next day, the dog is found strangled in the courtyard. And it's like, holy shit, this dude did kill his wife.
So throughout all this, he's Jeffries is trying to convince Lisa and Stella that Mr. Thornwald murdered his wife, and he gets them, like, they're skeptical at a certain point, and then like they dismiss it, and then he gets them back on, and like it's like a roller coaster in that, even of like them like trying to keep them on his side. They call up an old war buddy that Jeffrey had, who's now a cop, or he's a detective, a private detective.
Yeah, and this cop even steals Mr. Thornwald's mail.
Yeah.
To search for clues. It's like, I don't have a warrant to go in, but I will steal his mail.
I'll just kind of reach up in that mailbox real quick.
So we don't want to give away these like end sequences, but it all kind of comes to this like grand finale and sequence at the end. That is, it gets kind of cheesy, but it's really good and intense.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a fun. It's not even like it's hard to call it a horror movie. It's a fun, suspenseful movie. Yeah. At this point, but it's definitely a good watch.
It's kind of like the precursor to horror in a way.
Yeah.
It's like Sudafed to meth.
Yeah, totally.
Right. This movie is really ahead of its time, and I feel like it's very relevant today in the ways it metaphorically relates to the ethics of modern surveillance and like shit like peeping on people. At one point they discuss if it's ethical to watch out the window if it proves that no crime was actually committed. And that's exactly, there's so many similarities between that and state surveillance, CCTV. Yeah. I really like when one of the lines was that the camera is a portable keyhole. And that really is like the theme of this movie is
right.
Peering through the keyhole, straight Alice in Wonderland.
Straight up. I was thinking that Wonderland had a different name, and I was going to say a thing, and I realized that was stupid.
Lewis Carroll was a pervert too.
A lot of people were perverts.
I know. It's disappointing, man.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
That book is one of the rare books that did not escape his author being that fucked up. He read Alice in Wonderland to his nieces and the kids to, like, touch him. Or do weird shit. I don't know what exactly it was, but it was weird.
Damn diddlers.
So, do we want to end Rear Window just by saying Jeffries, Lisa, Stella, they concoct a plan to unfold the mystery by digging up Mr. Thornwald's flower garden to find the dead body, but Mr. Thornwald comes home early.
Dun, dun, dun!
Dude, I forgot how good that movie is, though.
Yeah.
Like, till I rewatch it, it's one of, like, the classics.
Yeah.
So much fun.
That one, and I can't remember the name of the other Hitchcock movie that I watched that night that was really, really good. I thought it was Dial M for Murder. It was not.
Honestly,
and I couldn't find the title based on typing in the description to Google.
Damn. Have you watched his show, Alfred Hitchcock Presents?
No. It's
like his version of Twilight Zone.
Oh.
Each episode's a different thing. It's old school black and white. It's like, I mean, it's so surreal. It really is his version of Twilight Zone. It's very good. I think it's on Amazon currently, but if you love Twilight Zone and you go through all the seasons, there's nothing else to watch. It might not be quite as good as Rod Sterling, but you have to watch it. It's very fucking good.
Is each episode a thing that he directed and did
Yep.
like specifically for it? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and it's funny like how Rod Sterling kicks off Twilight Zone. Hitchcock does the intro and exit of each episode, and they're always goofy skits / pranks. Like you watch him be very silly. It's interesting.
Cool. Now I'll look into it.
How you feeling? Should we do Parasite?
Yeah, man.
What are you thinking?
I fucking love this movie.
Dude,
It's
outstanding.
it's really good and it's really well done. And it came out just in time for people to watch it during quarantine. I mean,
Is
it came
that
out
true?
It came out right before that, but I think it got a lot of popularity last year.
Yeah,
Because of
it won a shit ton of awards, right?
Yeah. Actually, I left the Wikipedia page open. I was gonna try to make a list, and I realized there's so fucking many of them. Won 4 awards at the 92nd Academy Awards. It got Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best International Feature Film. It became the first non-English language film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Yeah.
It is the first South Korean film to receive an Academy Award recognition, and one of 3 films to win both the Palme d'Or. I know I'm fucking butchering that, and the Academy Award for Best Picture. It won the Golden Globe Award for Best Foreign Film and the BAFTA Award for Best Film Not in the English Language. Became the first non-English film to win the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture.
How long's this list?
Only a couple more. And the 56th Grand Bell Awards and the 40th Blue Dragon Film Awards. It had 11 nominations and 5 wins.
Wow.
At the
And
56th
deserved.
Baksang Arts Awards, it had 12 nominations and 3 wins.
Now, how do you say this director's name? I feel bad.
It is Bong Joon-ho.
Okay.
Is how I would say it, and I'm not saying that I'm right. That's just how I would read that Korean name.
Dude, he is outstanding, and I could not believe I didn't realize he was the director of Snowpiercer, which I fucking love.
Right.
So good. Dude, I want to do that drug in the movie so bad. What is it? Chronum?
Oh,
Chronum.
I super don't remember. I saw Snowpiercer when it came out, and then didn't hear anything about it for a while, and I feel like it picked up a lot of steam in the last few years.
Yeah.
Because people were still talking about it, and I thought, like, man, did I actually watch that long ago? And it was because it felt like years in between hearing about it. But fantastic movie.
I rewatch it every year. Now, have you seen relatively new recently on Netflix the movie The Platform?
Is that the one with Peter Dinklage?
I don't think so.
It's
a
different
Spanish.
one.
It's another foreign movie. It's Spanish, I believe.
Oh no, that's definitely not the one I'm thinking of.
Dude, it is like Snowpiercer, but in a vertical prison where the food goes down the prison rooms and everybody at the top gets the food as much as they can eat, and less food makes it down to the lower floors of people and their cells.
Wow.
It is dark. Like they're resorting to cannibalism and trying to find tricks to get to the upper floors. It is honestly, it got a lot of criticisms, but I fucking loved it. I thought it was very fun. I really liked those, like Parasite. These really I don't know. Some people think they're cheesy, but they're like thinky movies. They're psychological where they're making you reconsider something,
Yeah, I like that concept, and I mean it's got the same kind of a morality thing about class division,
right?
In this movie and in Snowpiercer,
and neither Parasite or Rear Window are like traditional horror. I feel like we kind of in a way didn't live up to the theme of this episode, but I don't know about you. I'm not big on like classic slasher horror. I think the psychological is so much more interesting.
Right. The idea of, it's a real monster. This is a real thing that exists. We even like the old monster movies thing it's comical now, and
Right.
same with like, the Freddy and Jason stuff. It's like it's classic and it's cool aesthetic kind of thing, but it's just not scary. The unkillable monster thing, it's not what keeps me up at night. It's real shit like this. It's class
Real
division
people.
and
Real people are scarier.
yeah, absolutely. Even Silence of the Lambs, as terrifying as those can be and how real monster they are, it's hard to separate the fact that it's a character, a little bit, rather than, something like Parasite where these are just people.
Yeah. Dude, it's funny. Today I heard Josh Potter on Your Mom's House call Silence of the Lambs the Lion King of horror.
Yeah. I think I saw that they put a link on a short vid on Instagram about that.
Very, very funny comparison.
Yeah.
And then immediately they all followed up, but I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
So Parasite was actually genred as a Korean black comedy thriller instead of horror.
I can
I see it.
Because of the social commentary, I can see that.
Yeah, and a lot of the previews for it really played that up, where the reality is in the movie it was very important, but that was a very subtle piece of the insanity, right?
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't for like the first good half of the movie. It was not horror, or it's not even a thriller for that point until suddenly it was.
It's just beautiful storytelling at first.
Yeah.
I really think it's funny how specific genres are these days, especially with music. Shit's like jungle, lo-fi, trip-hop, stompy music to lift weights to on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It gets crazy. Movies aren't as bad, but music especially. So I don't know about you. Like, establishing shots of a movie are like so important to me. Every time I watch a movie, Sarah is always talking at the start of it, and I'm always like, shut up, like, the establishing shot. I gotta see how the director does. It's so fucking important. So this movie, I didn't realize it at first. It's the opening shot, it starts with this beautiful title font and the font they used was very interesting. It kind of confused me. It was a very parasitic feel in the Korean language, which is beautiful to begin with. And it's this shot out of this dirty window of their semi-basement apartment. Now, what is so interesting is that the last shot of the movie is perfectly symmetrical with this shot. But it's the negative, like fucking Hitchcock. It's the negative. The first shot is of the past, and the last shot of the movie is near identical, but is the mirrored version of the future.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very cleverly done.
Yeah. The entire intro sequence or intro scene, I really like. I really digged just how relatable they made these characters, these people.
This poor Korean family.
Yeah, while also like showing just how normal and I guess how normal their struggle is to them.
Right. It immediately made us empathetic to their family and characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it starts with the dirty window, and it's, I think right away the son is running around with his phone trying to get Wi-Fi in their semi-basement apartment, and they're using stolen Wi-Fi. They're all hungry. They're folding pizza boxes as a job to get by, like everyone in the family. someone outside is fumigating and they have stink bugs, so they choose to leave the window open and all this poison gas comes in.
Yeah, that I had that part as my notes. Is like it's free fumigation.
Right.
It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
That kind of length is wild.
It's bad when you're willing to tolerate shit like that, you know?
Yeah, they so they're in that intro they're folding the pizza boxes to like sell to a local pizza place, I guess.
Right.
So they come and pick up the pizza boxes and like a quarter of them were all fucked up. Because I guess they were getting fumigated and they were fucking up, you know, like half of it, you know, it's not even folded in. Like the side of it's not even, you know, folded up right. Like,
you know what that made me relate to? Like, as soon as I heard it was a quarter, because there's 4 of them, it made me think that one of them was doing it wrong the whole time. And have you ever had that experience when you're like working on a team or a job and like, you work so hard on something, you find out one person did it wrong the whole time. And it's like they didn't blame that person. They probably all knew, and it was like, fuck. It's just like, you know, you're stuck with it then.
I thought it was because they were getting fumigated and they were just breathing drugs. They were
very well
breathing poison.
So what did you think of the look and aesthetic of this one? Compared to Rear View specifically, or just on its own, whatever.
I mean, it's kind of like the not the aesthetic that I'm thinking of. It's the kind of the point of the movie, but it keeps going back and forth between, this beautiful house and this, shitty, semi-basement, home and, apartment, and the
contrast.
The contrasting imagery was really intense. I like in a really, really good way. Especially seeing, those characters in and out of each setting. Showing them, when they're putting on their act versus when they're, just being themselves, I think was a really strong visual aspect of the movie.
I really liked, and we'll build up to those parts for sure. I really liked later when the son asked, do I look like I fit in here? Like,
right.
I felt that, man.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Like, regardless of like, money situation, just feeling like you don't belong. And for them, it really was a money thing, but it was a lot more than that too. I really liked like this movie, especially compared to Rear Window. It was very crisp and clean, but it still had a lot of grit. It almost had that like digital film look where, I don't know, they're just like things had like a rough fuzz edge at times in a really good way. All the shots were very artistic, well planned, well executed. It was classically cinematic and very elegant. And parts of it remind me of, this is funny, because I saw why this could be considered a black comedy later. It reminded me of that Always Sunny episode with Charlie trying to beat the health inspection.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
It had so many moving parts and causation. I fucking love that episode. Do you want to kick us off with kind of like, we'll break down the family?
Oh, yeah. I like that you put in your notes the father reminded you of Old Boy.
Dude.
Because I got vibes of that throughout the entire movie, of like it's the suspenseful, like it goes with, it's real horror, it's like you putting this person in a bad situation, and the entire,
see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. The entire last half of this movie, no spoilers, but there's a lot of suspense. And it's,
sorry.
I was gonna say, it's just the way that the a lot of the cinematography is done, I think, and it's just brought a lot of those memories of watching that movie back. And I fucking love Old Boy.
So good. Dude, that hammer scene in Old Boy.
It's so good.
10-minute fluid scene, moving camera of a dude just murdering people with a hammer.
Yeah.
Amazing. But the dad in this, he also is starring in some movies recently, and one of them he is a gangster drug dealer that looks really good. It came out after Parasite.
He's a really good actor. I like him a lot.
Yeah, very good. What'd you think of the daughter? How do you say it?
Ki Jung?
Ki Jung?
Is how I would read that.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
She was very cute.
Her character was probably my favorite character.
Me too.
The way she
was clever.
Yeah, it was clever, and the way she commanded herself when she gets into the family's home, and she like, no, you need to leave the room. No, I need to. You go downstairs. I'll handle this.
They later said she was the one that looked like she could belong anywhere.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely. That. She pulled off the heist, the not heist, but the con, the absolute best.
Right.
Mom is the backbone of the family. She's the practical one. You could tell she had the most, I guess, planning behind, or held the most structure behind the plans. The son, really goofy, self-described himself as a loser.
Yeah.
Now I do want to look into, some of the names that they went by. I don't know if it's a common thing to go by an English name, or if or a Western name.
At one point in the movie, they said that people often have an American or Western name. So, like, the son, I didn't catch his Korean name during the movie, but later he becomes Mr. Kevin.
Yeah.
So there's something to that. I'm not sure how that works exactly.
I noticed that it seemed like they only used their Western. They tried to use their Western name with the rich people.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was a class thing there.
And I also didn't know if maybe part of that was for the sake of film. If it was a choice in storytelling to make the movie
that could be too, yeah,
more understandable in a way, but I have a feeling there's something there.
Yeah. So there's
this is
go ahead.
This is their family. So this is like our core groups of characters, and this movie involves another family, and we're gonna try to say when we refer to the family, we mean this group, this family.
This family. This is the family.
This is the family.
This movie made it really fun to root for the bad guy. Because it's not really like the bad guy.
Who's the bad guy?
It's exactly. It's not really like the bad guy. It's when you look at it like they are, who is the parasite, and it's the. It breaks it down into like, there's kind of two kinds of people in the world, and it's, the rich and the people that work for the rich.
Right.
But they are, they're conning their way into this family, and into their life.
The rich family.
Yeah, the rich family. They are, so you root for them because you relate to these people that are like, trying to get their life, get this money.
Right.
So I really liked the way that they went on with that.
Yeah, and it's a weird story on how the poor family gets to this rich family. So the son, Kevin, has a rich friend in university, and this friend trusts Kevin to take over his job of doing English language tutoring to this rich family and their daughter specifically.
Yeah.
So Kevin's friend has a crush on this girl, and wants to ask her out after he's done traveling abroad for school. So in the meantime, he wants Kevin to be the tutor to make sure that, she doesn't date anybody else, basically. So this friend, he visits the family, and the poor family, our main family, and he gives them this geostone, or a scholar's rock, and it's this big rock,
big
with
fucking
pattern.
boulder, big granite boulder.
Yeah, and he says it'll bring the family wealth and prosperity, and that stone became very important and symbolic.
Yeah, I
like the mom, because she's the practical one. She instantly was like, I wish he gave us food instead.
Right.
Like, kind of sarcastic. It was a good, funny comment.
Right. They had he got his sister Photoshop the fake diploma. I thought that was slick.
And she was like really good at it. So with all the fake papers, you could go to the interview.
And she doesn't even look at them.
Yeah.
That's the other. She doesn't even look at the paper. She's like, you got a reference, you're good.
Right. Which, dude, there's so much truth to that in the real world.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You have to have the damn piece of paper, but it doesn't matter because it's all about the connection.
Yeah, no one's gonna look at it.
Right. And so he gets the interview with the rich family, Kevin. Kevin gets the interview with the rich family, and the con begins. And his family, they all know that it's a con, and they're all so proud of him.
Yeah.
And I really like the line he said. Kevin tells his dad, I don't think of this as a forgery. I'm going to go to school. I just printed it out early.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
That moment was touching. When his dad stops him as he's going out the door and says, I'm proud of you. And it's like, it's for getting these forged papers and going to get a job.
Right.
It's something. It means something to them. He's providing for his family.
Yeah.
Then he wants his dad to be like, to understand that he wants to do better. He wants to have this degree. And
his dad is currently out of work, and they're trying to do pizza boxes to get by, but you can tell he is like deeply ashamed of their situation.
Yeah.
And he's just proud of his son for trying to take care of them. So we got the old family, our original characters, and then he goes to this job at the rich family's beautiful house that was previously made by an architect, and they're super rich.
Yeah, gorgeous house.
Yeah.
Put together extremely well with the yard, the whole neighborhood. The way it sits inside the neighborhood is incredible. The design of the upstairs, downstairs, shit like that. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
Those big open windows,
right?
And minimalism.
I fucking love that minimalism. The whole wall of the living room was a window.
Yeah, I definitely would do a lot of the textures different, but oh man, to have that house and do some crazy shit with it would be outstanding.
I particularly, I really enjoy the aesthetic of the Japanese kind of, I say Japanese, but like the minimalism that they do, and a lot of the at least in the media portrays of the like an Asian home that is of wealthy people, or like wealthy hotel rooms and shit like that. It's always like super clean and very tidy.
Lots of clean, flat surfaces.
Yeah. Right angles. Everything's at right angles.
So what'd you think of the rich family's housekeeper?
Knowing on the second watch, so I don't remember how I felt about her the first time on the first watch. On the second watch, I couldn't find anything
notable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was looking for things to note about the housekeeper this time.
Yeah. Now, without giving any more away, how about the rich mom?
Also couldn't. There are scenes in the movie that I'd forgotten about. entirely, especially concerning the mom and the father. But I liked her. I feel like I liked her more this watch through, which is weird because my original intention again was to root for this other family. Not that, like, it's not like it's picking sides in this particular, in this circumstance, but it's, I guess, it's just different. It's the victim versus the
victor.
Yeah. Victor is the right word, not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This mom was very sincere. She was described as simple, and she definitely was naive. She was kind of one of those Xanax trophy wives, where she was very kind and cared, but kind of like the poor kids were kind of like almost trashing her at one point. Like, she's so dumb for believing our lies, and the dad was like, hey, she didn't do anything wrong, she's been kind to us. I thought that was interesting. The rich father was very suave. At first I liked him because he was cool, calm, and collected, but he was arrogant. And we later see how he kind of looked down on people that he perceived as less than him.
Yeah.
Did you catch, I meant to look into it, but I ran out of time. The tech company, he was the owner of a tech company, and it seemed to be ironically titled. It was 2 words, but the first word was brick.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I plan on looking into that later.
I can
might be an Easter egg.
Do some fun Google stuff if you want to.
Yeah, as long as we don't give away too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the rich family's daughter is the one being tutored by Kevin. And even though she was previously, interested in Kevin's friend, she instead falls in love with Kevin. And then they also have one more very young son who is a Boy Scout, and he wants to be an Indian. So the rich family is buying him all kinds of authentic American Indian bow and arrows, tents, and he's running around like a little madman. The poor family at one point decides that it's not that they are nice. It's not that they're rich but nice. It's nice. They are nice because they are rich. I did not say that as smooth as I'd like, but that they have the luxury to be kind because their money allows them to be nice. And there's a lot to that. When you're struggling or poor, it's hard to focus and be nice to other people when you need things for yourself. It can be a luxury to be kind. I don't think that is like a truth.
Yeah.
Like it's an excuse at times.
Yeah. So a cursory Google search did not yield the name of the company.
We'll do a zoom in on a still frame.
Yeah, we'll have to. We can include that in the Instagram if we find it.
For sure. So the rich mom dotes on her little Indian wannabe child. And he had some sort of a bad incident.
Native American Indian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Native American Indian. And he had some sort of a bad incident last year. And the mom thinks of him as special in a sense, and believes he's going to be this great artist because he's a little off for a kid, she thinks.
Yeah.
So the rich mom mentions that she'd like her son to see an art therapist. So this is when Kevin gets his chance to lie, and he suggests his sister, the con artist.
Yeah.
Not, of course he's not saying it's his sister. But the long and short of it is that the daughter becomes the art therapist / psychologist now. So we got two members of the poor family infiltrated in the rich family's lives.
So
now, yeah,
I was gonna say, so the cool things that she looks at, she talks about when she gets in there, they're talking about art therapy and a lot of the things that she points out to the mom. Did you look up any of these details?
Now, I know some of them. My little sister is actually, she's working at a hospital now, but she's finishing her license in art therapy.
Oh, wow.
So I have some information on it. And I do know that all the tools she used to psychoanalyze the art were all bullshit. Okay. There may have been evidence of truth over some of those things. Like she said, the lower right-hand corner of the child's art was the schizophrenic zone.
Yeah.
In that the shapes there obviously told about his medical state of mind and shit. And later she laughs about how she just picked this shit up off a Google search. I have talked to my sister quite a bit about, like, you definitely can learn a lot about a patient by, like, what art supplies they choose to use or how they go about using them, how they react to working with them, or, like, obviously what they're saying, but there aren't those, like, easy telltale signs. Like, if you make a stroke this way or use this corner of the paper this way, that you're diagnosed with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't know how much of that could be, I guess, even deciphered on a regular basis. I mean, because I think of computer, or minds like computers. So, like, there could be some things that could be picked up like that, or could be, Jesus, there's a word that's escaping me and I hate it. That could be like across all people, or not all people, but most people, as like that could be a sign of that. It doesn't mean that it is, but it could be a sign of that.
Right, like thing. An indicator or symptom in the art. Yeah, from what I understand, she definitely didn't know what she was talking about, but she was really good at making it seem like it. Real quick, is that note okay with you? Yeah. Okay. So I did like she used different memory techniques. One of them Sarah uses. Sarah watches people talk sometimes to catch their syllables, but she did the tap the syllables out on two fingers as a mnemonic kind of technique. Have you seen that? Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did. I did see that.
Yeah, I liked that. It reminded me of, like, Memory Palace shit.
Now, when you say Memory Palace,
now this is why you need to watch the Hannibal show.
Yeah. I did start. I watched the first episode the other night, and I was gonna get into more of it, but it was a lot that I want to pay attention to, and I had other shit going on.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But are you familiar with the palace thing?
If you're just using the term memory palace to mean brain, because that's what I think of.
The idea is you craft a castle or palace in your head where each room is where you store the memories. So, like, you walk into your memory palace and it's always the same room. And like Hannibal's memory palace, the main room was like the entrance to his favorite cathedral. And if he went to the right, there was the next room. And then that went into a hallway with the next room. It was a way to organize your thoughts in a mental location.
Oh.
And it's a very difficult, but it's a very effective memory technique.
I might have to do that because my memory's garbage.
I've played with that in some other ones, and some of them help more than others, but that one's hard for, because we're both so visual, but you have to visually create a lot, or it's easy for it to get overly complicated.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's kind of fun. So Kevin is having a lesson teaching the daughter English. Do you want to pick up there?
I do, but my Audacity just jumped in front of me, and okay, that's good. Okay. So excuse me. during the lesson, the rich mom sends the housekeeper to spy on him. I thought this was cool too. I want to look into this drink, but it's a plum extract drink made from the juice of these. It looked like pickled plums with honey.
Because it looked like they were in an oil.
Yeah, so I didn't know if it's like umeboshi plums or something. It'd be like sour with the honey. Ooh. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, infused with honey. It just sounded so delicious and refreshing when she said it.
Yeah. But it was a good way to set the scene. It reveals the basement. And there's like the way that they show it from the kitchen is just like a dark hole, a dark portal in the kitchen.
The entire movie, you never once see the steps down. It is like a literal portal to hell. They lit it so clever.
Yeah.
Like so well done.
And that's some good foreshadowing there, and it's the really smart because it becomes a good setting for the rest of the movie.
Right. Now what about so they're trying to get the dad hired. What did you think of what the daughter did?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was super smart.
Traps,
yeah,
bro.
Setting these traps. And so far the son and the daughter both work for the family. They see an opportunity to get the daughter sees an opportunity to get the father in by taking off her panties inside of the driver's family's personal driver. I guess we should point out that the personal driver's giving her a ride home after her therapy session with the son. She takes off her underwear inside of the family bins to get that driver fired.
Right.
So then, now they're looking for a new driver.
Right, because the rich family thinks this driver is dating prostitutes in their car. So, they fire him, and that way the daughter can get her dad hired on as the new driver.
Yeah.
It was very clever, and I feel like we didn't explain it as elegantly as the film made it happen.
Yeah, it was super smooth, and the thing is, I feel like the movie makes it seem like it happens like the next day.
It was so natural.
Yeah,
it just flowed just right. It was all the perfect causation of effect and shit. I really liked how the wife, she said she thanked them for the chain of recommendations because it was a belt of trust. And she even did a hand motion of like a spider silk, like the belt of trust.
Yeah, you can tell they immediately at that point, like, okay, she's hooked. This is the con on and in full effect. There's no going back at this point. They got it.
And that definitely was, like, even that moment, the underwear, all that stuff, those definitely were satirical moments where I could see why the movie could be considered a black comedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't like, it's not jokes you laugh at, but it's these, like, funny twists in the plot,
Yeah, and I think it's like almost, it's after that is when it becomes not
heavy.
So the family they use the so they find out that the housekeeper is allergic to peaches.
Right. So peaches are the forbidden fruit of the house.
Yeah. They use peach fuzz. They scrape off and they put it inside of pen caps. This is some anarchy shit right here. They scrape off peach fuzz, put it inside of a pen cap, and they kind of flick it onto her as they go by. They get her, reacting to it, and then she ends up going to the hospital. They get a selfie of her at the hospital, and they convince the mom of the Xanax wife that I like that's her title now, the Xanax wife. Yeah. They convince her that she's got tuberculosis.
TB. Yeah. And dude, I didn't catch it the first watch. So the poor son, Kevin, he loves hot sauce throughout the movie, and he uses hot sauce on the housekeeper's tissues that she was coughing into to make it look like blood.
Yeah.
And they later make a reference on how like basically hot sauce was the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And it was like so well done.
Yeah.
So good.
I think that the sequence of events, when they set her up and framed her, couldn't have been done better. They're like, texting each other like, hey, we're going to be home in like 8 minutes. Like, hit the, go get her now. And they got her. So she was coughing when they walked in the door, and then, got her tissue and put the hot sauce on. Super, super well played out.
And they literally the poor family is writing the script of their lines out and rehearsing how they
yeah.
So good.
They're in their sub basement just fucking going for it, reading lines and acting it out, and they're like, no, that's too much. Pull it back.
Bring your emotions down here. Yeah. Now, do you remember our high school art teachers were allergic to bananas?
No.
Dude, yeah, I won't say it, but the twins were deathly allergic to bananas.
I had no idea.
I bought banana oil at one point. I thought maybe we could get them out of school for a while, but apparently like they would instantly die. So for a while I kept it in my locker as like, maybe. But
I call the shots here.
Yeah. But I did. I remember they were always fucking late for class, and they were one of those teachers that didn't know how to use their computer at all. So I was always unplugging shit when they were late for class. And one day I took scissors and cut all the cords of the projector. And they didn't know who did. They were so angry. It took like 2 months to get a new projector going.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Get that public school. Fuck them.
I took an F in art history because I had all my credits done already and I didn't need to take the class, but they made me. So I just sat there every day and didn't take a single test or quiz. They hated me by the end.
Did you say they just stopped bringing them? Stopped giving you one?
They wouldn't even bring. I literally just sat there every day and wrote how many minutes late they were, and then I drop it off at the principal's office every day.
Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So sorry, where were we?
The basement smell. Yeah, the son of the rich family. I thought this was really interesting how deep it got.
Yeah,
because the rich family son smells the driver, and then he runs over and he smells the housekeeper, and he's like, they smell the same,
right?
And it's like, he's young enough that they're like, what are you talking about? Like,
fuck off, kid, go play.
And they realize that they're talking about using, man, do we got to use different detergent now? And like, that means we got to do different loads of laundry for each person. Like, that's crazy. And they're like, no, it's the smell of the sub basement.
Right. You can't hide it.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the worst. Like, if you're ever in a situation where like you live a place where it affects how you smell, or like you don't smoke, your neighbors are smokers, the building's fucked up, your washing machine's broken, and you can't. That is such a humiliating feeling.
Yeah.
When you can't control how you smell.
Yeah. My last apartment I lived in, there was no possible way that my apartment wasn't going to smell like smoke. Right. And I would air it out, and then some days it was better, but there is no getting around it.
Right. No. It's sometimes where you live puts so much out of your control. And this family, like the father particularly, he was very embarrassed about it. And this smell becomes a problem where it's almost blowing their cover.
Yeah.
Like they're rolling down the windows while he's driving, like it's a problem.
Yeah.
So at one point, the rich family leaves for what seems like it would be a weekend to go camping. And the poor family is partying. This is their house now.
Yeah.
They're drunkenly claiming it's theirs, and it's beginning to thunder and rain as they're making these big lines. At one point, one of them says, "Rain is falling on our lawn while we sip whiskey."
Yeah, this is a beautiful scene where they're just they're feeling what it could be like, what it would be like to have this comfort. these
and they're
luxuries.
proud of themselves.
Yeah, they feel like it's theirs already.
They're empowered. They're making plans on how they could take it all from them at some point.
Oh yeah, if the son marries the daughter, then this is our in-laws' house.
Right. And they'd hire actors to be the grandparents.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God. So,
fuck yeah.
Right as they're saying the rain falling on the lawn, or rain falling on our lawn while we sip whiskey, thunder clashes, then the doorbell rings.
Yeah.
And it is an fucking shit moment. It's so good. It changes like on a dime. So good. Who was at the door?
It was the old housekeeper.
Oh,
dun dun dun.
Such a minor character, and all of a sudden, she's on the video monitor. She's in a craze, and she convinces them to let her in because she left something important in the basement.
Yeah,
down the portal to hell.
So, I think it's like she's, like you said, she's in a craze. She's like smiling, her teeth are, exposed, kind of thing, and like that's reason enough. But like because she's trying to, I think it was because she's trying to like not seem suspicious. She lets her in.
They felt like they had to let her in
yeah.
to maintain their story in a way.
Yeah. Which I feel like that's the last possible thing I would do.
Yeah, shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
But that's, if we're going to stop for spoilers there, that's where it becomes, really becomes a thriller.
Right. Psychotic.
Yeah. Literal psychological horror at its finest. It's really, really well done. I mean, the entire movie is super well done, but the second half of the movie, how it erupts into what it does.
It's a great verb.
Yeah.
For that. And things basically spiral out of control of the poor family. And at one point, the father has this amazing quote, which really felt like kind of one of the main messages of this movie. Whether it was right or wrong, he says, "With no plan, nothing goes wrong. Nothing fucking matters."
Yeah.
And his son is just like, you could tell it was like crushing in a way for him to hear, but he understood those words for the first time in a way.
Yeah. I was debating that line because I feel like I resonate with that, and I feel like I don't, but I was able to put it into perspective on a macro scale in life, like in life in general. Having no plan is the best way because as he says it in the movie, the only plan that doesn't fail is no plan at all. Right. Having, because if you make a plan, the gods laugh at you, that's going to change. Right. Life spits in your face. And so for that matter, absolutely. I think for small, like independent things, I've always liked the saying, failing to plan is planning to fail.
For sure.
For small, tasks and stuff like that. Absolutely. But
I think there's a lot of ways to look at it, even in the context like that nothing fucking matters when your shit's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like their lives are a mess. And even if you just like thought of it in that like small scope, like when you're making bad decisions and everything's mixed up, your plans won't matter because nothing matters. It's all so fucked up. But like you said, I mean, like my life's going much better than it has for a long time, but I know part of me, the depressive parts, the parts that are fucked up, I will always resonate with the feeling that nothing fucking matters. Mm-hmm. And I think, that's a normal thing on different scale. Like, I think a lot of people would felt that line. Yeah.
I think it's, at least in my own way, it's easier to feel, it's to let go of certain stresses when you remember that this is all for me. This is nothing. None of this fucking matters.
Right.
I'm doing this to myself. I'm putting this pressure on myself.
Yeah. It can be freeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
empowering even at times.
The moral flex of this movie is wild. I really like the way they kind of border on like what you were saying earlier. It's like who's the victim here, kind of thing. And like
Right.
at the end of near the end of the movie, there are, you know, clear victims of certain things.
Right.
But in general, like,
still subjective.
who's the bad guy, you know, is the real kind of thing there. I do want to say there was one moment in the movie that the scene stuck with me. I really liked it, and I want to get a high resolution version of it because it'd make a good wallpaper for my computer. And it's the scene where the daughter of the poor family is sitting on a toilet and it's exploding while the house is flooding underneath her, and she's smoking a cigarette, and it's just kind of fade to music. There's no dialogue in that direct moment, but she's just sitting there. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. I knew you were going to mention that shot, dude.
Yeah, it was a super good one.
But what I love, too, is that, like, a lot of people that smoke the cigarette at the bad time scene, it's like they're defeated often in film like that.
Yeah.
She didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, it was almost like pride.
It was a very powerful scene, and you could tell, like, she was empowered.
Yeah.
When you have nothing, sometimes, I don't know. There's something there.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
I noticed you have in here that the ending made you cry.
Yeah, like, it wasn't a sob cry, but it was like, you know, twinkle stars.
Make sure your face get a little warm and your the tears well up a little bit.
Similar to 1917, I will say. I really felt this movie was like the perfect showcase of writing, like just excellent writing, a mastery of scene creation, and cause and effect in, right? I mean, everything affected everything. Everything played a part. It was so intelligently designed. I think there are probably so many more like subtleties and little hidden symbolic moments that we've missed because it was just full of so many aspects. I know there was something there, but I didn't know exactly what it was. The oil and the blood.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The plums. There's something there. I don't know exactly what it was saying, but there was something. I know there were a ton of things.
Blood is thicker than Walter. That's the name of the Solve the Moment episode.
Dude, like right as it like was making me cry at the end, the director twists the knife one more time.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
One more little twist. And that one, it wasn't one that like I couldn't feel coming in a way, but it was just one more twist of perspective that was just excellent.
Yeah. I had completely forgotten about that on this watch, and I thought I remembered how it ended, and then I didn't.
Right. Yeah. And you're like, how the fuck could I not remember that? So good.
Yeah. I do want to point out, I was looking up some stuff on the movie. Apparently, our good friend, Mr. Trump, he was talking shit about Parasite at a campaign rally back in February 2020. He's questioning why a foreign film won best picture at the Oscars.
Because it was better.
Yeah, so his comments were widely condemned as xenophobic and racist. The distribution company of Parasite, Neon, responded by tweeting, "It's understandable he can't read."
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
I didn't know where you're going with that at first. I like where it ended.
Yeah, when I said our good friend Donald Trump, you didn't realize where that was going. You didn't realize I was going to talk shit about him.
Oh, man. Just both of these films, they were just so cleverly crafted.
Yeah.
And the writing was superb. I don't give a fuck if they're traditional horror or not. I just think these... I mean, I think they both represent, one represents old horror and one represents new, but they both, it doesn't matter the fucking genre because they're amazing. It's all about the writing.
Yeah. I really liked, I think these two movies in particular were really good comparable movies, and not in the way that they're plot-wise not similar at all, but the idea of the suspense of in particular part of the second half of Parasite, there's a very suspenseful section of it that gets me every time of like
It's creepy.
Yeah, are they going to get caught? Is this going to be a thing? Is this like, when are they going to be found out?
Yeah.
And that's
Sarah bailed because it was giving her so much anxiety.
Yeah.
It wasn't that she was creeped out. She was just like, I cannot handle this right now.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And it was easier this time than the first time, for sure.
Yeah.
But there's still parts where I'm like, oh shit, oh fuck. But I think that's the similar idea of the, what Rear Window does is, it makes you go like, oh fuck, like that they're seeing some shit, like this might be a thing. And what I liked about Rear Window is it kind of lets you go back and forth of like, is he tripping? Like, did he actually see some shady shit go down? Like,
yeah.
And then people convince you back and forth and you're like, oh, maybe it wasn't anything. And then it's back on like, oh fuck, no, that's pretty fucked up.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that was a fun back and forth for that.
Window it feels more timeless in a way.
Yeah.
It has magical qualities, both in the aesthetic and dialogue. But I found Parasite to be much wittier in a sense and way more subtle.
Yeah.
Way creepy.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, I even remember thinking to myself, like, how is that, supposed to be like a horror movie? Like it's fucked up. And I guess it's, by definition, it's really not, it's a thriller. But it was so social commentary to me the first time I watched it. That
I wish we could explain that more, but we don't want to give anything fully away.
I mean,
but
I think there's enough in, understanding that it's a family. Yeah. That's, they're somewhat, forming I think the Wikipedia says they're forming a symbiotic relationship with this rich family.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
that's, they need this rich family to survive. And that's so much of the working class is based on, like look at what, when people that work at grocery stores and restaurants became essential workers all of a sudden, that's not, they don't just work at McDonald's flipping burgers. They're, these are essential workers,
It's a very quick paradigm shift, and it will be temporary. I mean, it's not going to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's already over. Immediately when people can come back to restaurants and they're being shitty again. Bad tippers and whatnot. We had somebody. Let me put somebody on blast real quick. Somebody came into our restaurant today and they asked if they could put they could tip on their credit card, and I said, "Yo, yeah, absolutely." And it comes up on the screen. It's on the iPad or whatever, and it comes up and it gives the option of no tip, 10%, 15%, 20%, and then custom. And this fucking bitch, she goes out of her 5%. Way. She goes out of her way to hit custom. Yeah. And usually that means they're putting in more or just a specific amount. That's, whatever. And so for her bill, 10% would have been like $6. And she goes in and types in $2. Which is, it's like less. It was about 6%. Of her entire bill. And it's like, really? Like, you can't even give us 10% of a thing. You're going to go that, okay, cool. Got it. Fun.
Now, I don't want to sound insensitive. Will this takeout or eating there?
This was takeout, and it's so
it gets confusing.
It does get confusing. it's a counter service restaurant where when you're calling in an order, or, even if you're putting it online for that matter, the tip goes to the people that are making your food and communicating to you about what you want. The difference would be in a service restaurant, in a restaurant where you sit down and someone brings you the food out, that tip still goes to multiple people. It goes to like the busser and shit like that. And I think the thing that a lot of people don't understand is like when you tip your server $5, they don't get to keep $5. Typically, a portion of that's going to go to the bartender and to the busser and sometimes to the kitchen. Almost never to the kitchen, but that's in some places they do that. But
no, I fully agree. People do not tip enough. I do see how it could be confusing on a pickup order to not know
and
what is expected.
I agree with that
it's not
too.
An excuse.
In this particular situation, we took her order, but yeah, it was a hassle to get special shit done for this order. Which most of our customers are that way. Need special attention.
You want to just like charge more to the card.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Fuck it.
It's like, really 10, you could see the number 10% when the normal of tipping is 15 or 20%. I don't know. I've been working in the restaurant industry for a while.
Yeah, dude, I don't...
To see that and go, like, to purposely ask, like, and I can put a tip on here? Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then...
Less than 15%?
Yeah, and then less than 10. It's like, all right, cool. Like, oh, no, I want a tip, but not that much.
Right, I'll give you...
Here's a couple $4. Kid. Go get a pack of gum.
Thanks, man.
So, of these two movies, though... I feel like Parasite.
Parasite.
Yeah, I like more. I think I'll watch 100%. It more often.
Honestly, I think I'll probably end up watching over the course of my life. I bet I watch Rear Window more, but I think Parasite is by far my favorite.
I think I'll definitely tell people to go watch Rear Window more often than I would tell people to watch Parasite, only because there are some graphic and whatnot pieces of Parasite that, I mean, if I strongly recommend a movie, if I want someone to understand like what I like in movies, I'll definitely tell them to watch Parasite.
Tell the norms to watch Rear Window. Yeah. Tell the cool stuff.
Tell everybody to watch Rear Window. Tell the cool people to watch Parasite.
Yeah. For sure.
Which was also weird because, I mean, Parasite's on Hulu, which I feel like everybody either has a Hulu account or they know someone who does, who they steal it from. Which is fair. But like, I liked my Parasite viewing experience because it opened with an ad for McDonald's, and that was fun.
I forgot it.
Brought to you by McDonald's.
Parasite.
Come get this fucking Big Mac.
So such an inappropriate sponsor,
right? So for our next cycle, I mean, next episode is our freestyle, right? So
yeah, fun, chill, vacation.
And I know you said that you have some ideas for the next cycle already. Do we want to figure it out during the freestyle? Do we want to do?
I'm potentially down for that. How about we have our ideas prepped and then we discuss them through.
Yeah,
on that.
And
that'll be cool.
I don't think we should spend the entire episode doing it, but I think that could be a fun segment. We can figure out a fun way to do that.
Cool. We'll do it.
All right, cool.
Do you got any dishonors or advice before we get out of here?
I do. So I mentioned earlier in my honorable mentions that I started watching Dragon Ball because of my friend Brittany up in Toronto. Is getting into it, and I got inspired by it. So I want to give a dishonorable mention to myself for living in Detroit now for 5 years and never going to visit Toronto. And now that I have time to, potentially in my schedule, I'm legally not able to. You can't cross the border unless it's business related or essential.
Really?
Yeah, that's a thing.
COVID?
Yep. That damn coronavirus.
It'll be open.
Yeah, eventually. But
one of these days.
And when I do, I'm gonna come visit the Squamley. Come hang out with my my George Brown people.
Fuck yeah.
But until then, I have dishonored myself. I will cut off my pinky.
Seppuku.
Yeah, I will commit seppuku.
Oh shit. I don't got anything. Fuck the world. Nothing fucking matters but watch good movies and talk to friends about art.
And go pet a cat.
Go pet a cat.
Thanks again for listening. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats Trashcast on Instagram for news and art from the show.
Yeah, we spent forever getting that shit up there today, so you fuckers better check it out.
Yeah, Steven works his ass off for the Instagram. I feel like I give moral support, and I'm going to try to help more in the future.
If you're bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX. And I will say, the artist Billis said my art was mad this week, and the director of fucking Carts of Darkness just followed me today. So there's some precedent there.
Whoa.
For real, check out these movies if you haven't seen them. So good. And tune in next Wednesday for our episode on, what was it?
It's our freestyle.
Oh, that's our next one, but
that's the one that's coming out after this episode.
You're right. I kept thinking last week's episode.
Oh.
You got anything else?
Nope, that's going to be it.
All right. That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks.
No, I agree. We gave enough detail that it's enough to lure someone who hasn't seen it and might not have looked it up. Enough that someone who's interested in it was like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Right. I got that clip now.
Yep.
Right,
I don't know who that impression was. Yo, I was.
Yeah.
What? Yep. Oh, I got denim for days.